Bears win 24-15 at Eagles. This is by far our best result of the season, going against a good Eagles team who won the Super Bowl last year. I'm gonna say it, but we are 9-3 and top of the NFC, which is crazy. Because if you told me this time last year that next year we're going to be 9-3 and top of NFC, I would have thought that was some kind of sick joke. But here we are, and I'm all in for it. We're on a five-game winning streak, beating the Bengals. We've beaten the Giants, beaten the Vikings, beat the Steelers, and we beat the Eagles. Now, if you told me before the Bengals game that the most comfortable win is going to be at Eagles, I probably would have laughed in your face. But that was the case. The other games have been heart attack type games, going to the last play. But maybe that just shows that maybe we are just improving. But it was a hell of a result. Going to Eagles, even when Eagles are a bad team, it's hard going to Eagles. Their fans are insane. If you've got a fan base that boos Santa, well, you know what type of fan base you're going up against. And it was a weird type of atmosphere for the Bears game. It felt like when the Eagles fans arrived, they were just ready to boo from the off. It was just a very bizarre game. It felt like when we get to the second half, the atmosphere felt like we were 40 points up, but it was actually we were only up by 7. But just the atmosphere, the booing and stuff, just hats off to the Bears for causing that. And then the second half starts, and they get a touchdown. Caleb intercepts, and then they kind of have the ball again, and they're kind of rolling. It got a bit concerning, and then they had an opportunity for one of the famous tuck pushes. Now, Dennis Allen said during the week he's got a plan for it. Now, if his plan was for Wright to come from the side and rip the ball out, then I want him to get a plane ticket to the UK because I'm going to talk to the King of England and get him knighted and call him Sir Dennis Allen because that was an unbelievable play by Wright, unbelievable call. Um, but also just for Dennis Allen, all this season he's had injuries. It's either the defensive backs are out or he's got no linebackers, but he's producing, takeaway like the most tight takeaways from any defense in the league. It's just an astonishing kind of effort from us. But fair play to the defense. Um, Finished the fourth quarter getting 2 touchdowns, which got us the win and made it a bit more comfortable. But this game was only comfortable because of the offensive line. The offensive line, and I can't believe I'm saying this as a Bears fan, but the offensive line was our strength in that game. Absolutely bullied the Philly defensive line. I know there's kind of questions being asked about the offense of Philly at the minute. However, that defense is a good defense, and for that offensive line to bully them and manhandle them was insane. 281 rushing yards for the Bears overall. One guy, Swift, had hell of a games, and it just set the game up for the Bears. We got a bit concerned in the third quarter when we kind of went away from the run, but as soon as the fourth quarter got going and we started running again, they just couldn't stop us. Um, but yeah, fair play to the defense as well. You know, during the season, it's been a bit of a concern that the only way we stop teams is from takeaways. But the last 2 weeks, they're actually getting three and outs, a lot of punts from the other team, and that is what we want. Caleb, not his best game, interception, couple of sacks. Um, and to be fair to him, when you got the running game going how as it is, just let him go. But he finished the game off for the Bears with that touchdown touchdown for Komet. He could have gone for the easy option in that play and gone for Swift, who was about 6 yards out, I'd say. But he lofted a beautiful ball to Komet. Basically, the touchdown sealed the game for us. Happy days. So, top result for the Bears. I'm joined today by Zack Pearson from Bear Report. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you've been busy because I know they did like the rescheduling for the Bears at Hallis Hall. So thank you so much for coming on. And just what's your overall reaction to a great win at Philly?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm glad to do this. Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised. I thought, going into it, this is obviously would have been their toughest game, in this stretch, in this win streak. And I picked the Eagles. I thought the Eagles would win. I thought it was but I'm glad I'm wrong. That's a huge win for the Bears. It's a game in which they made a statement. The offensive line, like you said, really, dominated out there and really made their presence known. The run game, the offensive line and combo, the blocking from the tight ends, the wide receivers. It was just a good all around game. And as you mentioned, it's not easy to play in Philadelphia. Like the Eagles, I believe, lost 10 games in like 5 or 6 years in Philly. It's very rare. Defending Super Bowl champions, and you go on the road and get a big win. That's a big momentum boost now going into here week 14.
But you go to Hallis Hall, and all you heard is on how good run it was because the schedule's soft and it's easy. The Bears players weren't getting much respect really from the outside, especially before the Eagles game. From your experience of being in Hallis Hall, do you think the players were quite pissed off with that and they had a chip on their shoulder and they kind of went into the Eagles game kind of thinking, well, let's do this?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I think more privately they do. I don't think they really let all the outside attention fully get in. In this day's world of social media and so many blogs and podcasts and reporters at Hallis Hall, it's kind of hard not to hear that stuff. But I do think, some of the guys probably did feel disrespected that, hey, we were 8-3 going into the game, and we just haven't been getting the love. And now, even after that game, there's people out there saying they're still not good, and that it wasn't a good win. So I do think they do get a little ticked off in a way, but I also think they just believe in themselves so much that they think they could beat anyone in this league, and that's a good confidence to have right now.
I mean, talking about the defense, obviously it's been reported, obviously we've been battered with injuries and it's been insane. Like not having a line back at one point, it's like been ridiculous. Obviously, the question's been about our defensive line. I actually think it's improved recently. Do you think this is a legit defense and it's going to be something that can take us over the line to get to the playoffs and maybe a couple of rounds?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be. I think especially if they get a home playoff game, if they want to win the division, they're probably going to have to rely on that defense. You know, it is tough because they've had so many injuries, but the thing that gives me confidence is even with these injuries, Dennis Allen's found guys who have stepped up into those roles, whether it's, Nashawn Wright, who'd step in for Jalen Johnson from week one, whether it's, CJ Gardner Johnson coming in the middle of the year, the linebackers, DeMarco Jackson, Amen, Noah Sewell having a key role, Ruben Hippolyte playing a little bit too. So I do think they'll be fine. The only worry I have is the pass rush. Can they get to the quarterback a little more? I think that's going to be very important here against the Packers, and down the stretch.
I mean, I saw your tweet or X or whatever they call it now. TJ Edwards, you saw him training. What's your expectations? Do you think he's going to be back for Sunday, or do you think it's going to be probably the week after?
Yeah, I think it's trending towards him being back for Sunday's game. Unless there's a setback, but he's dealing with two injuries: the hamstring, the hand. He had the surgery to fix the hand. You could play through it. I think he was just getting excuse me, waiting for clearance to be able to go out there and play through it. Um, so yeah, I'd be shocked if he wasn't playing on Sunday
Mm.
in Green Bay. It just kind of makes sense and lines up with the timeline.
But I've got to mention because I saw because obviously you're at the press conference and I found it. I'm just going to read my phone because I don't want to misquote it or anything. So obviously it was Johnson who was talking about how the passing game's not being good enough, missing passes, and I felt like the conclusion to it, like what he said at the end, was quite interesting. I don't know if it's quite ruthless or not, but the way he ended it was everybody has a role to play to get this pass game cleaned up. It's not where it needs to be. We're winning in spite of our passing game, not because of it. So I thought that was quite strong. And I know he came out the day after and kind of said, look, I probably shouldn't have worded it that way. And in fairness, I think it was Monday or the day, or even after the game, he said, Caleb actually covered my back because I'd made some botched plays and stuff. But it just
Yeah.
seems very in and out and quite, because that's quite an aggressive thing to say. And I know he's come back on it, but what's your feeling between the relationship with Caleb and Ben Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in a great spot. I think, Ben is going to tell it how it is. You kind of learn that right away from being around him, on and off the record. So he's going to tell the truth. He's going to challenge his players. This is something that, he probably know anything before you guys, or you guys don't know anything before the players know, whatever.
Mm.
So yeah, I think, I think Caleb agrees too that, it's going to take everyone to get this passing game going. It's not where, it should be right now, but also what there's this is Caleb Williams. Um, it's going to take some time. Like it's I'm not worried about it. I do think they need to play better in the passing game. But it's not just Caleb. It's the depth of wide receiver routes, it's the play calling, it's things like that. And Friday it was, I mean, the weather across the country it was a tough day to throw out there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've said this quite a few times. I'm probably boring people, but like I always said, because last year was such a disaster, and
Yeah.
it wasn't Caleb's fault as such. I felt like this year was probably going to be his proper development year, like his another rookie year for him because he's actually got a head coach that's going to last the year who's going
Yeah.
to actually be able to teach him. So I kind of felt like this year was going to be up and down. But like you said, it's not just even Caleb, it's like some of the drop passes as well. I think Rome's been guilty a few times and DJ had a few, didn't he, the other week as well. So yeah, hopefully they get cleared up. But going to Green Bay because obviously it was a bit bizarre because you see Ben Johnson rip his shirt off after the game, getting people from Chicago some free hot dogs and stuff, which was unreal. And then it's like back to business, then, isn't it? It's like, well, it's Packers
Yeah.
week now, isn't it? What are your thoughts going into the Packers game? Do you think it's what are the Bears going to have to do? Is it going to be like a cop and paste job of the Eagles game or something extra?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see probably a similar approach, where they want to run the football. It's going to be cold. It's going to be, anywhere from 10 to 19 degrees, I think it is out there. So yeah, I think the Bears are going to want to run the football. They're going to want to protect Caleb Williams from those pass rushers. Green Bay has, Micah Parsons, who speaks for himself, but Rashawn Gary's playing really well. Their safeties are good. I think the Bears can attack their cornerbacks, but I would come out and try to run the football. Devontae Wyatt being out, I think that's key up the middle. Can the Packers stop the run? I know they're eighth in the NFL right now, but I think they're giving up like 98 yards a game. In the last three, they've been giving up 118 yards a game. So teams are starting to run on them. Yeah, I think it's going to be, on offense, you got to run the ball, make things easy for Caleb, and then on defense you got to get pressure on Jordan Love, and you got to stop their run game.
Yeah, I mean, when I remember when Ben Johnson first signed for the Bears, and he said the old line of, I enjoyed beating Green Bay twice when I was with
Yeah.
Lions every season. How many times has that been brought up in Halissaw? Because I've seen it all over my timeline.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I don't I think it was brought up a once in a press conference, but I think people are kind of staying away from it. I think it's more like the national and the Green Bay media that's kind of feeding into it. So I don't know. It's all in fun. I like it. I like the confidence. Bears lost what I think it was 13 straight against the Packers before beating them last year. You could argue they could have swept them last year. So yeah, you got to beat Green Bay, and now especially that's true because you have two in 3 weeks against them, which is I think those
I mean, so like last year,
two
I
games
saw the
decided.
sorry, so last year I saw the Bears win in London against the Jaguars, and then after that we
Yep.
fell off a cliff, didn't we? And then our next win was the last game of the season against the Packers at Lambeau. So that's like to me, that's a big deal because Caleb's getting his first win in his first attempt at Lambeau. So that chips off his shoulder, there's monkeys off his shoulder.
Yep.
We ended that massive drought that we were struggling with against Green Bay. Do you think they can use that as something they could take forward, or because the circumstances was so different, weren't they, back then? Green Bay were preparing for playoffs and stuff like that, and they had injuries like Love and Watson. But do you think they can use that or as a positive going forward, or?
I think they already have. In training camp, I talked to Josh Blackwell, and he's the guy that had the touchdown, the trick play touchdown, against the Packers last year. And in one of the conversations, I was asking, was like, that play last year. I know it meant a lot to end the losing streak, but how much did it carry over this year? And he said, basically said, yeah, I mean, that was a lot of motivation. We wanted to end the season on the right note. We wanted to get a win. Beating Green Bay, and Green Bay is huge. And that play was obviously a big part of it. So I think they already have. I think they've used maybe that as a springboard into this year as a whole. So yeah, I do think they'll probably still use as motivation. And like I said, I mean, Caleb's kind of experienced already playing at Lambeau Field. It's a historic venue, so they kind of understand what's good. They when they played last year, it was really cold there, so it's nothing new to them either.
But like obviously Green Bay fans on both sides, it's massive. Like it's a game that I look for because I know that they're probably going to put it on prime time, which means I got to put annual leave in for work because I'm getting too old now. Like I can't stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning and work now,
Oh,
so I always have to like make sure I've got it off. So we know how it means for the fans, but in terms of what it's like at Hallis Hall, the Packers week, is there a different feeling towards like is it's not a normal game, is it? So is it does that reflect onto the players as well, or
yeah, I think so. I think they know what this rivalry means. They know how important it is. Now, there's a lot of young guys in this locker room, and I think Ben Johnson, the coaching staff, have done a good job of getting the rookies and the younger guys, caught up to what this rivalry means. There's some veterans that have been here that have lost to Green Bay a bunch. So I think they know too. But yeah, I think you amplify, you know, when the Bears in Chicago, when the Bears are good, it's a whole different city. Everything is different. Um, I always tell people this, like, you have Cubs fans, you have White Sox fans, they're Bears fans. It does not, there's no other football team. When the Bulls are good, it's kind of the same aspect. But when the Bears are good, the city's changing. You can kind of feel that now. Um, where it's just like you kind of a lot more Bears jackets, a lot more Bears hats. Um, you know, they're lighting up the buildings blue and orange a little bit. So yeah, and I think it means a lot to go to Green Bay and beat the Packers. And not only for the players, but I believe they know the fans too, how bad the fans want this.
yeah, it'd be yeah. I'm feeling nervous for it, but yeah, let's do it, man. But like yeah, last question before I let you go. I mean, what's your score prediction? Go and give us a prediction before you go.
Yeah, so okay, I picked against the Bears last week, and I was wrong, and I ate my crow. I was happy with that I was wrong. Um, I before I get my prediction, I'll just preface it by saying this. I think they're gonna split. I think it'll be 1-1 by the time it's done. This week and then week 16. I think both teams win at home. I think the Packers win this one 26-20. I hope I'm wrong again. If I am wrong, that's great. But I just think, it's tough to win at Lambeau. Um, so we'll see. I think the Bears could definitely win this game, but I'm gonna pick the Packers this one, and I think the Bears will win Week 16 at Soldier Field.
Yeah, I think I'll take a split because I think that sets it up quite nicely, doesn't it? I mean, sorry, I know I said that was the last question, but are you confident with the Bears hitting playoffs or?
Yeah, yeah, now I am. Yeah. Whether it's division or wild
Mhm.
card, we'll see. You know, this game's huge because the winners got first place. If the Bears win, they're what? I think a game and a half or something or whatever it'd be ahead. If the Packers win, they're ahead by a half game. But you look at the following week, the Bears got the Browns, the Packers have the Broncos, so that's another game that could flip it too. I think the Bears are going to make the playoffs. I can't make a prediction on the division or the wild card because every time I say something, they prove me wrong. So I'm happy with that.
I mean, I'll take playoffs from after last season. Like
Yes.
that's a win, isn't it? And like all I wanted to see was improvement, and we've seen that, haven't we, in tons. So, but no, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I hope you get a bit of rest before you start working again.
I'll try. Yes, I'll try. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Nice
Anytime.
one.